Hi there, I'm Eric Roberts. Thanks for coming to CES 2022. This is going to be a CES that we have that we'll never forget because of this COVID and everything like that. But appreciate everybody's efforts in coming out and making the best of a difficult situation. I'm here formerly from Quectel. I'm based in Johns Creek, Georgia. And now I'm with Ikotek, and that's what I'm going to be talking about and introducing today. So the company we are announcing Ikotek today. It's spun out of Quectel. Our goal is to become the IoT-centric ODM. There's many ODMs that are in the marketplace. Ours will be focused on IoT. Basically, our value proposition to the industry is that we have a lot of experience in developing, because we're spun out of Quectel. We know the cellular and wireless space hands down, and can capitalize that, which will translate into a advanced time to market and a fast production advantage, and also scale. I brought one of the modules that many people know, right? Quectel has churned out millions and millions and millions of these at scale. We know how to make the hardware work. We've learned a lot of tough lessons about antennas and power consumption and embedded software, and you can capitalize that rather than try to roll it your own self. We can help you get there quicker, basically. We are headquartered in the U.S., right? So we are a fully U.S. entity. The idea is to serve this market and other ones, combined with a local presence, but a global scale. And our people have the expertise to run the entire product management life cycle in terms of consulting with you and collecting requirements, and understanding that, coming up with a design or adapting yours or just building your own, and getting this into production at a production facility such that you're off and running and your product is up and running in mass production, all right? So let's just double click a little bit about that. You might have a little bit of skepticism, I think, in terms of if we were announcing this brand new and just saying, hey, we're open for business. But the reality is we've been in business for about 3 years, right? We started our ODM products team in November 2019, and our customers started talking to us as rather than ship the module, right? Just merely ship the module. Why don't you just ship us the board or a subassembly or something like that that could be integrated into our products, right? And then later on, why don't you just ship us the entire product themselves, right? So that's kind of the genesis of this ODM team that we've started here at Ikotek. Our engineers have about an average of 15 years of experience in turning out products like these, coming from software capabilities to hardware capabilities as well. We have a team of 200 R&D employees, access to labs worldwide, right? So those antenna chambers and all kinds of mechanical testing facilities, and I'll show you a little bit more examples of those, are pretty spendy, and we have access to all that equipment. Like I mentioned, we have a full competence in hardware, firmware, software, and test, right? So we can help get your products running, and along with a competitive cost structure that would take your product a lot farther than we would go. Currently, we have about 80 products in flight. We've landed the plane, so to speak, on 15 of those. 15 have moved into mass production, and we've supported customers on a global basis. The products that we have, right? The products that we have are go from NB-IoT, just very at the small end of the portfolio, right, to up even higher to the 5G and AIoT solutions, and I'll show you some examples of that. Okay. And here are the examples, right? So the starting from kind of simpler designs, right, in a telematics and tracking environment where we're tracking the locations of we're tracking either the position of an asset or a vehicle and maybe some parameters. Those are usually CAD-M types of ones that are based upon this chip in particular. Ranging up to smart meters that have basically the same bandwidth profile. We're just kind of reporting some little small metrics about the use of a water meter, a electric meter, so on and so forth. Leak detection is obviously a huge issue, and helps the environment. The higher end portfolio would be products with screens or a camera, a PDA, some type of industrial scanner. And at the top end of the portfolio, 5G networking products that take advantage of a Qualcomm SDX55 and XDS62, the usual suspects that take advantage of the mobile broadband capabilities of 5G. I skipped over a little bit, but they're kind of related to the Snapdragon, the AIoT, also related to the PDA and point of sale device. All right. So, just as a summary we do believe that we do have a unique wireless and cellular DNA. We can capitalize on our expertise in antenna design and understanding when you engage Ikotek with an ODM design, we're able to produce a design that has that understands that entire RF chain from module to antenna, get a good power consumption out, so you're not always replacing the batteries. Those are kind of the specialized functions that Ikotek would say that, hey, we're unique with. At the same time, we've ensure that table stakes have been met, right? So kind of a gambling term, right? When we have to, the fee that anyone must pay to play the game. Skills in mechanical design and plastics, some of the safety testing, some of the mechanical testing in terms of temperature testing and humidity testing, and I'll show you some examples of that. Skills with supply chain, which has been totally on our minds throughout the past year, and then converting that into a manufacturable product and getting that into manufacturing, out the door and into your customers' homes. We were spun out of, we have been spun out of Quectel, and so we're kind of coordinating alongside of them. They will be introducing some ODMs, some ODM type products to us, projects with us. And as I said, that really the one in the green is we believe, because of our massive module business, we believe that this is going to translate into much more inexpensive ODM products for you and your customers. I keep on saying ODM. We really have a flexible type of engagement with customers, right? So that can be an EDM where you just give us the design, you just say manufacture this. It can be a joint development project where there's kind of more mature product requirements. And it also can be a pure ODM project where you just say, here are my top level requirements, here's what I want you to do, and I want you to produce that. So this chart just demonstrates that we have a flexible operating model. We manufacture in a number of locations, and so should you engage with us, we would put your product in one of these factories. There's 4 in mainland China, 1 in Malaysia, and also in Brazil. And in our prototyping space, we have a dedicated ODM factory space. Is about 300 square meters. We're expanding that. That's going to produce some of the EBT and DBT types of prototypes that we're going to get you in those first kind of exciting moments when you get to see your specifications turn into reality. This is the process that we usually follow with the customer engagement. So we will work with you in the concept and requirements, and making sure that we really understand what it is that you're looking for, the key parameters for success. Understanding those requirements up front really will help us get a more satisfactory product to you. We'll start in the design phase and producing some of the sketch and color and material finishes and the hardware design around that. Starting the mechanical development, and producing some of the electrical designs. It comes next. And then when you'll first start to see prototypes at the EVT and DVT space. EVT is our first cut, DVT is our second cut. And by second cut, we believe we have a firm design that's ready to go into manufacturing, and we prove that by going through all of our testing, which I'll show our test capabilities a little bit later. And then last, NPI, we're going to get that into a factory, start to dress it, start to mass produce this, and start to get shipments out. Right? Through all of this, there's a project management element that we have, and so we have very dedicated project managers that we can assign to you and to your customers, to you and our customers. Okay? All right, so I've been talking about, hey, we're going to show our capabilities, and I'll go into that, right? So some of the test capabilities that Ikotek has, right, is the RF performance and the OTA testing, right? This is to make sure that you get all of the RF output that you're putting into the antenna, all of the efficiency, and your product is getting the best speed and performance it can on the network. It's also a challenge to make sure that your product is getting all of the battery life. So we'll run a battery of tests on power consumption. There's a lot of usually these IoT devices are fairly small in size. They have multiple radios. They have a small battery. So understanding the thermals is of paramount importance. You have to get that right at the design stage in order to you can't correct it. You can't correct it afterwards, right? This chart is a bit of an eye chart, but it basically explains the kind of table stakes. I put it in here to emphasize that we're not unfamiliar. We talk a lot about RF and things like that, but we're not unfamiliar with the aspects of getting a very ruggedized device that's out. Often these devices are used in vehicle applications. They could be portable designs. So really understanding temperature and humidity testing, the thermal, the drop test, vibration, waterproofing, dust proofing. We can do that in our test labs. We're set up to do that. We can write these into your design requirements and then test against them. Right? RF performance, right? So I mentioned antenna chambers, and you're probably familiar with parameters like TRP and TIS. We can also test aspects of 5G to make sure that we're getting the bang for the buck and the speed that we would expect on a 5G network. The bottom line on this chart is that this equipment on this page is very, very expensive, and you don't have to replicate that. You don't have to replicate that expense. We're set up to test the millimeter wave performance and the 5G performance along with the Keysight units that are shown here. Right? Many of these devices incorporate a camera, right? So you can think about products like a dash camera or a surveillance camera, maybe a hunting camera, which is a huge market in the U.S. And tuning that camera is very important and requires some abilities of just making sure that the color and precision is right. We have a team of about 5 engineers that do nothing but that. Thermals. I mentioned thermals. We have a team of that has about 10 years of industrial design experience that has done the products, have product expertise here in terms of 5G, dash cameras, and smart screens. These products have a lot of, at the very high end of the portfolio, you have a lot of different radios, you have a lot of different screens, but cameras, understanding this is super important. I'm going to talk a little bit about software. At the higher end of the portfolio, with a product with a screen or a camera, typically Android is a good requirements. With the Android board support package, you can have that and start to integrate, add your add your differentiation at the application level. We have a professional software team that allows you to develop that. In some cases, we have developed some very simple applications just to get our customers up and running on the platform. That is kind of just a framework, and then it'll allow them to customize it a little bit later, right? But the Snapdragon process, the Snapdragon products that support Android, we have a dedicated team that's based in Vancouver, Canada, and then can consult with you, usually on your own time zone. For the products that don't have a Snapdragon processor, we have a system that's called Quectel that allows you to use a Linux-based operating system or an embedded operating system. What that translates is a lower cost in terms of the product that you develop because you're cutting out the processor that's out there, right? So we have some, because of Ikotek's pedigree of coming out of Quectel, we understand how to make that work, and we can reduce your cost even further and simplify your design by putting all of the processing engine on the cellular module itself. Right? There's not that many development organizations that do have that expertise. Right? So I've talked about what makes us different. I've talked about our capabilities. Our goal is to be the best ODM company that we can that's serving the IoT market. We believe that because of our pedigree in wireless and cellular development, we think that we can serve your product needs, and we've been set up to handle it from ingesting the requirements to producing a design and to getting this to mass production. Our whole ethos is to provide customers competitive advantage by reducing your costs and really speeding your time to market. All right? Thank you very much.